Hello, good morning. Hi, this is Stephanie with another soulful gardening wisdom moment for you. So good to be here. I am looking forward to sharing some practical gardening wisdom with you today and some mystical mindset work. So let's get to it. Today we're going to be talking about garden edging and the wisdom of boundaries. And around this time of year, our gardens are really starting to get rambunctious and might be looking a little bit rough around the edges. So a lot of gardeners are starting to look at all of the different, hi Kay, thanks for joining, hi, just getting started. So a lot of gardeners at this time of year really start thinking about, I really need some garden edging, or I need to just make this look a little more tidy and, in its place. And edging our gardens can make such a huge difference in terms of how we relate to them, really, because they feel like maybe they're more aesthetically pleasing, more just clear in terms of the boundaries, and we can enjoy our plants more and ensure that grass doesn't extend into our gardens. And that's a really big thing, right? Because you put so much work into your beautiful gardens and you want them to be visually beautiful in all respects. And that certainly extends to our garden edging. So there's loads of different edging products to use. There's metal edging and plastic edging and rock and concrete, and you know what I mean. There's just so many things. For many years I have been using a particular style of edging that I learned from my dad, and I think he learned from his dad, that is just super easy. It just takes a shovel and a little bit of work, and it creates a beautiful edge that is free and it just feels a little bit more natural to me, especially for use in our native flower gardens. So here, let me show you. I think it's just called the shovel edge. It may have a different name too. At one point I feel like it had some name that had the word Dutch in it, like Dutch edging or something. I can't remember. Maybe you can help me. So I'm just going to turn a little bit so that I can actually do a little demonstration for you. How exciting. All right, here we go. So I am using a shovel that has a flat bottom to it. It's nice and sharp. It's you don't need to use a flat bottom shovel. It's just what I have and what I've used. You can use a regular type of digging shovel. That works fine too. And all you do is just line up where you want to go, where you want to create the edge, push it straight down into the ground. You don't have to go very far, just a couple of inches. I'm thinking maybe 3 to 4 inches. And then you pop it out, flip that piece over. This is the edge. It's got some worms in it. This is just the edge of the grass and the weeds. You can see where I cut straight down through it. You can also see that the roots don't extend very far because this is grass, and grass, as opposed to native plants, has a very shallow root system. So this particular approach is really helpful for keeping grass out of a garden. Now, what you see here is the flat edge, and then I just push the soil up on an incline, put it back up onto the bed. Keep it open. You want to actually run your hand down through there. Keep this open. This creates an air barrier that prevents grass from growing into your garden. And that's all you do over and over. I'll do another one. Line it up, push it straight down. You want to go straight down, not at an angle. You want to go straight down. Push it into the ground. Flip it up. Take out as much soil as you can. Our soil is precious and you want to keep it on your garden. Push the soil back up into your garden bed. And open that edge up so that you now have this nice clean edge that creates an air barrier for grass to enter your garden. It takes a little work, sure, but any kind of edging is going to take work. If you're driving in metal edging or plastic edging, that's going to do it too. And hey, Sherry, I think I just see you joined. Nice to see you here. Thank you for joining. As you can see, if I move my knee, it just creates a nice, simple edge. And it is super effective. It prevents the grass from entering into your garden, and it really sets off your flower beds nicely so that everything looks so nice and neat and tidy, and it's free. Just takes a little bit of work. It's all natural, and it's just lovely to look at. So I wanted to share that with you because, I realized all of us gardeners have these little tips and tricks that we do, these techniques that may seem like second nature to us, but for new gardeners or anybody who's looking to expand their gardening interest, their gardening knowledge, I just really realized that this would be an important tip to share. And as I was thinking about sharing this tip with you, it occurred to me how important the whole concept of edging is with respect to setting boundaries in our own lives. We all know how important it is to set boundaries to protect your time, boundaries to protect your space, boundaries to protect your health, your mental well-being, your emotional well-being, your spiritual well-being. And the thing about this process that really brought to me, first of all, is that it is a boundary of space. It's a boundary that is more, it just feels more expansive and spacious than driving in a wall into your garden, like a metal boundary or a plastic edging boundary. There's something about this approach that feels so right in terms of the healing and the wisdom that it can bring forth for us. And I really wanted to share how when we set boundaries and when we edge our gardens, especially all of your beautiful, soulful gardens that you are creating, that are established, that you are connecting with, we are creating edges and boundaries from a place of love. That is the key. When you are creating a boundary for yourself, you are honoring yourself. You are honoring and protecting yourself. You're not setting a boundary for other people or for other circumstances that are beyond your control. You're setting a boundary for yourself, and you're doing it from a place of love and spaciousness and appreciation and respect for yourself. So when you consider how you are going to go about setting boundaries, that is the first thing that is so important, is to realize that you're doing this from a place of love for yourself. It's not about control. It's not about, dictating how somebody else needs to act. The thing that goes along with boundaries is being very clear when they're being crossed and what the consequences are of that. Now, of course, in a garden situation, this boundary, this edge, it's very clear, right? Where the garden begins and ends, where the grass begins and ends. And the consequence of anything changing around this is if the grass were to start to, pass over the edging, pass over the boundary, we would need to re-edge it. We would need to remove the grass. That is the consequence. That's a natural consequence of garden edging, right? This is necessary in order to maintain it over time and to continue honoring and respecting this boundary that we have established in our garden. Same thing in our lives in general. We set boundaries out of love for ourselves, okay? And then we are very clear when we set the boundaries, we make it very clear for ourselves when the boundary would be crossed over. We make it very clear in our own mind and potentially with the person that we are setting a boundary with. When you know, my daughter, when you don't put away your laundry, you don't get your iPad. Make it very clear that there is a consequence, that there is a very clear expectation that is associated with that particular boundary. Now, obviously, that's a very simple boundary example that I just gave you, but for the sake of an example, we are always needing to follow up on our boundaries. So they need to be maintained by us. They need to be maintained by you. The boundaries that you set from a place of love, not from a place of control or manipulation, but from a place of love and honoring yourself. When you start with that fuel, you are able to continue to maintain your boundaries from a place of love and compassion and understanding, and a place of strength. And that is really important, because if you don't maintain your boundaries, they feel like they can start to undermine yourself, right? You feel like you're not being true to yourself. You're not honoring and respecting yourself. So it is so important to understand that any boundary needs to be maintained by definition, and it needs to be maintained by you. Boundaries can shift, sure, they can change over time. Sometimes they can be completely eliminated if situations have changed significantly and the boundary is no longer needed. But when we are mindful of approaching our boundaries from that place of love and from the place of honoring yourself, it becomes much easier, more spacious, more understanding to continue recognizing when that boundary is passed and the consequences associated with that. And when you follow up with those consequences from that place of knowing that you are honoring and respecting and loving yourself, and this is not about punishing the other person, it is about honoring yourself. The more that you do this in your personal life, the easier it's going to be to set those boundaries and continue maintaining them over time, just as it is in the garden space. And one little thing that I wanted to say about the garden space, especially with respect to edging grass that may be approaching your garden, is this particular method over time increases your garden space and reduces the amount of grass. Which I love, and just wanted you to know that if you're interested in expanding your garden space, this is another spaciousness. It's another feeling of spaciousness and bringing more life to your garden and to yourself. Because when you edge a garden in this way that I shared, you are creating more space for more beautiful, vibrant native plants and all of the creatures that benefit from them, because you are a healer. As you are creating these boundaries for yourself, you are healing yourself. And it's a beautiful thing. There's so much wisdom in the garden. I encourage you to always keep your heart open when you are in the garden, because the abundance of insight and wisdom that can come forth for you is truly unlimited. I hope that you enjoyed this little gardening moment, soulful gardening with nature. I would love to hear any comments that you may have. Feel free to, I'm going to be posting this, of course, on my Instagram. So if you would like to leave a comment after I post it on the Instagram, my Instagram profile, I would love to hear what you have to say about this particular method of edging your garden and how it relates to your wisdom of boundaries. Have a beautiful day. Take care. Bye-bye.